everyone, and welcome to today's session. We are excited to deliver part 4 in our VPO webinar series. Today we'll be focusing on managing the request for quote process centrally and securely, which will be led by our application development manager, Melissa Berkebile, and our CEO, Laura Nee. I'd like to cover a few logistics related to today's webinar. We're recording the webinar, so anyone who's interested will have access, and if there's anyone you want to share it with after the fact, they too can have access by simply registering on our website. All of our participants will be in listen-only mode, but we would like this to be an interactive discussion, so we encourage you to submit questions via the Q&A or chat features available through Zoom. We'll start off with some introductions, tell you a little bit about our company, and then move on to the presentation. We will also save some time at the end for any remaining questions. My name is Marissa Giannino, and I'm a Customer Success Manager at the Simplex Group. And my role here is to work with prospects and customers by aligning VPO capabilities to project needs. A little bit about our company. We have 35 years of experience delivering project management solutions to the engineering and construction industries. We got our start as an Oracle Primavera solutions provider in 1984, guiding contractors and owners on how best to use CPM tools. In 2008, we saw a need for building owners and construction managers to work more collaboratively with their architects and engineers and contractors by sharing documents and streamlining construction processes like RFIs and submittals. We took our insight and our experience and launched VPO, which is a customizable, easy-to-use project management system that resides in the Microsoft Cloud. And we're really excited to showcase our RFQ module to you today. And with that, I'll turn it over to our CEO, Laura Nee.
Thank you, Marissa. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Nee, and as Marissa said, I'm the CEO of the Simplex Group, and really the creator and product strategy manager of the VPO product. Melissa Berkebile is our application development manager, and she's going to walk us through a demonstration of our RFQ module. But before she does that, I'm just going to talk a little bit about why we built this module and how our customers are using it today. So, you know, we've always had a bidding system in place, and that was typically used by companies who would design a project, send it out to bid from a construction phase perspective, and then award a contractor. And then we were working with a specific client who really required the RFQ process, the request for quotation process, in which they would have multiple RFQs for a project that's already in construction and during the construction phase of a project. And so that kind of challenged us to come up with a more automated fashion tool for managing RFQs that enabled our customers to create these RFQs on their own and also manage the entire process from the invitation process all the way through the closeout process of collecting the bid documents from the vendors, suppliers, and contractors that they are inviting to provide proposals to their projects. And we realized that, you know, what we heard from our customers is that the bidding process is very time intensive for their own personnel, and that most information is exchanged via email, which means that it's not in one centralized location where you can go in and see the status of all the RFQs or all the bid documents or bids in one place. Also, just managing the whole bidder's contact list, being able to see who you're inviting, who you should invite, maybe based on geographic location, certifications, trade, discipline. And we found that a lot of times, you know, it depended on who the project manager's contacts were as to who got invited to bid on the projects or provide quotes. So if that project manager had their own list and every project manager had their own list, there wasn't one centralized list. And also, you know, oftentimes you might send out a request for quote or a bid solicitation, but you don't have enough quotes or people responding to it. So our customers really wanted a way for somebody to specify that they intend to quote or provide a proposal for the project. And also, oftentimes too, people were emailing these documents back and forth, but the files keep getting larger and larger, and email systems don't always accept them. So getting the bid documents for the contractors and the vendors and suppliers to review the specifications, the drawings for what they're actually providing a proposal for can be challenging as well. So, and then also, especially if you have, 20, 30, 40, 50 RFQs on one project, it's tedious for your staff to be able to keep on top of where any one RFQ stands, when the due date of it is, reminding people that they're of the due date that you've invited to solicit the bids from. So that status and management process is very tedious as well. And then also just collecting the information. So, our clients wanted a secure location for the contractors, the bidders, to be able to upload their proposal documents in one location so that you're not just accepting it via email. And if that person's on vacation, you have to somehow get that, all those proposal documents at that time, or nobody's allowed to go on vacation, I suppose. So all of these reasons led us to developing a more sophisticated bidding and RFQ module, even for those customers who are using our traditional bidding module. This is a different way that it can be used for just a single bid where you have a design, bid, build type project, or if you're managing a project that requires a lot of quotations throughout the duration of the project, this can be used for you to self-service the creation of the RFQs. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, but before I do, what we typically do on these webinars is we try to poll the audience so that you guys know everybody who's in this room, virtual room, and attending. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll start the poll and just ask, or just answer what type of company you're with. So let me go ahead and do that. And it'll just be a moment. We'll collect everybody's responses and then share the responses with everyone in a moment. Okay. So it looks like we have a good mix, actually, of people from owner organizations, construction management firms, AE firms, general contractor, and specialty contractor, pretty much split across the board. All right, so we'll have a couple of other poll questions throughout, but at this point, I'll turn it over to Melissa to kind of showcase how our RFQ module works. And again, please feel free to make this an interactive discussion. I know that you're in a listen-only mode, but you can, as we go throughout, ask questions through the chat functionality, or not the chat, but the QA functionality within Zoom, and then we'll try to address them as we go and at the end as well.
All right, thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. I'm excited to walk you through our bidding and RFQ process for VPO. As Laura said, I am the application development manager here at the Simplex Group. So I was working on this particular project for a while with my team, and we've come up with this process to really aid in the creation and management of bidding. So I'm just going to start out by saying that the new RFQ module basically is broken down into 4 main steps: register, create, invite, and manage. So first is to register the external users or potential bidders within VPO if they're not already a user. This allows the bidders to actually log in securely to VPO, and it's a one-time process, so you don't have to do this over and over again if you have repeat bidders. The next step is to create the RFQ or bid package. This is where your internal users will enter all of the pertinent information about the RFQ and upload the bid package documents to the secured area that VPO creates. Then you'll start the process of inviting the external users to the actual RFQ itself. which will give those potential bidders access to the bid package. You can also create and send out in bulk addenda and question and answers at any point in the process. Finally, VPO provides an easy way to manage and track all the communication between you and your bidders, while also providing those bidders a secure location to upload those bids on bid day. So I am going to actually switch it over to the application itself, but just wanted to mention that again, the registration process that we're going to go through right now, it's a one-time event. So once a user is registered within VPO, they can be added to a bid at any time, or even promoted to an actual VPO project user if need be. VPO manages the secure invitation process, and they provide instructions to the user and support at any point along the way. So as many of you might know, and if you're familiar with VPO, this is our main portfolio page. And the registration process really starts with the global directory. This is where all of the users, whether they're in VPO or they're simply a directory person that you want to contact within VPO, this is where everyone is stored. We use the bidders view for our actual bidding, so you can see whether or not a person has been invited to bid and whether that person has actually accepted the bid and is a registered user. So those are kind of the two important fields that are on this view. So you can actually either add people at this point if you are inviting new users, or you can even search for people that may already exist in the system. So I'm just going to go ahead and search for someone in the search bar because I know who I might want to include or invite to bid. And here I can see that this person, Trevor Rice, has not been invited to bid, nor is he a registered user in the system. So to invite people to bid, you simply have to edit the list and you set the invite to bid to yes. And it really is as simple as that. On the back end, an invitation explaining the registration process will be sent to the user. And that basically looks like this. And we ask that our customers really be proactive about this process. You really want to start this process a good bit prior to when you're going to be sending out RFQs, just to make sure that everyone can get into the system, there's no frustration. And again, our support team is there to help at any point in time. But this is the actual invitation that the person will receive whenever they are, excuse me, whenever they are being registered into the system.
Just to add to that, Melissa, you know, the last thing you want is somebody who's trying to submit a bid for you on your project to, you know, be frustrated because they don't know how to log into the system. So can't encourage you enough to proactively get people registered into the system prior to you having an actual, you know, request for quote or active bid.
That's a great point. Yeah, and we also provide our customers with suggested emails and documentation that you can send out prior, again, to even anything happening in VPO, just so that you can explain what's going to happen and what the process will be to really kind of handhold them through the whole process. So again, on the back end, this invitation is set out, and if they are able to log in, what they will see as an external user once they log in is this VPO bidding landing page. And this just lets them know that they have established an account successfully within VPO and that they're ready to receive invites to bid. The next step of the process, the second step, is for the internal user to create the actual RFQ itself. So you'll enter all the pertinent fields about the RFQ, and by doing this, VPO will create the secure locations to both upload your bid package and an area for the external users to upload their bids. So going back to the site, I'll take you over to the actual RFQ module, and this is within a project that we have set up. I want to make note that this can also be set up at the portfolio level. This one happens to be set up within a project, but we can also set this up at the portfolio level should you need it. Some current customers will be using it that way because they may only have a couple of bids, not many bids that are on each project, and they wanted to keep it at the portfolio level. So it is nice that it's customizable like that. You can see that the timeline maps out the due dates for the current bids. And when you create a new RFQ, it's as simple as clicking the new task button here. And you'll see, especially if you're familiar with VPO, that all of the required fields are asterisked, and we have them noted there. And that's mostly because the information that we're requiring will really be used on the back end to set up those libraries and send the emails to the recipients. So the title is important as it's shown in all communications, and that's also how the libraries are named. The bid package type is something that's customizable when we set this up for you to create kind of a hierarchy for your bid packages. So you may or may not use these, and we can take them out and change them as necessary. It's really just to make things a little more concise. The subject line and detail are specific to what's going to go in the email communications themselves. And the primary contact is another required field, and that person is going to be CC'd on all communication regarding the RFQ. So it's important that you have that person set up within the system as well, but that's the internal person. You can also put in information about a pre-bid meeting date and time and location if you have that. And then, of course, due date is a required field as it is used when we turn off the bids, and it's used for when we notify people that the time is coming to send in your bids. Those of you also familiar with VPO will notice that this is a workflow module. So you can send this information back and forth internally using the ball and court and CC fields before you actually send it out to bid. And you can use the internal discussion tab to discuss the item back and forth. So I'm actually going to go into one that we've already created, an actual RFQ that we've created. And so you can see that most of this information is filled in, but there are two fields that I didn't discuss in the new one because they weren't there, and that is because they are created on the back end process, the link to documents and the bid uploads link. So those are created on the backup to set up the proper security, and that is created when the RFQ is first saved to the system. So what these two items are, the link to documents is where the bid package information will actually be uploaded by you to be viewed by all of the bidders. And then the bid uploads link is going to be the actual library where all of the bids themselves that your customers are going to upload are stored. So if you open the RFQ package documentation, which is where your bid package documents will live, and again, the system sets this up, so you'll see we already have some information in here that we've uploaded. I just wanted to note the hierarchy of this again, though, just that we have our RFQ packages library, which then has underneath it all of those bid package types. And that's just, again, a way for us to manage the hierarchy within all of the different RFQs that you might create for a project, and those are customizable. So we are in this mechanical HVAC package documents, and this is where your internal users, whoever it would be, can upload all of the documents that you want people to be able to view and access during the bid process. So you can simply drag and drop into here. You can use the upload button, or if you're familiar with OneDrive, you can also copy the information that way.
just to add here, Melissa,
Mhm.
one of our clients, you know, they may not be 100% ready with all of their documentation before they send the bid invitation out. And what they do is they get it to a point where at least it's complete enough, and then they'll use the addenda process that Melissa's going to walk through for any changes to the documents. But they want their bidders to get started reviewing all the information ahead of time. So you can do that by just setting this up now and then sending out further messages, which Melissa will cover too, when things have been maybe updated or more complete.
Right. Yeah, it's a totally interactive, and at any point in time, you can add things to it.
All right, so this is our next poll question. So let me go ahead and start the poll. And we just want to find out what people are using today for bid management or RFQ management. So if you wouldn't mind going through the options here, and then we'll review the results once everybody's voted. I have a feeling I know what's going to be the answer. Seems like it's going to be telling. All right, so definitely the winner was by email. So I think that that's common across the board by many companies, and you know, so hopefully this shows you a different way of possibly doing it. All right.
All right.
Go ahead.
Great. Okay, so moving on to the third step of this process is the invitation process. So once your documents are uploaded and you are actually ready to invite the users to the RFQ itself. This will give them the ability to download the bid package and to upload their own bids when the time comes. And this is the point, as Laura mentioned, where you can also create and send addenda to the package itself, or you can send out question and answers as they arise. So I will jump back in to the system. And when you're ready to add recipients, you want to edit the RFQ itself and then jump into the recipients tab, which is right here in the middle. And you'll see we obviously already have some recipients within this particular bid, and you can see them listed here. But to add a new recipient, and again, you can do this at any point in the process. If someone's been left out, or you find that someone has some interest in bidding, you can add them at any time in the process. So just to show you how this works, you click the Add New Recipient button, and it's going to take you to that global directory again. But this is a view that only shows people who have been invited to bid and are actual registered users. So they've logged into the system, you know they're good to go. So you can send an actual invitation to them. So that is the listing that you will get when you go to add recipients. And you can select as many people as you like at once. Or just as I kind of showed you before, if you have someone specific that you know you want to invite, you can search for them and include them one at a time if that's what you're doing. So once you pick who you would like to add and invite, you simply go up to the ribbon and click Add Selected Contacts. It will confirm that you actually want to add them to the recipient list, and you'll be taken back to the RFQ Recipients tab. You know, you can actually see here that there are a bunch of different columns within here. So you can filter and sort based on each of the fields. You can, you know, you can actually pull up just the yeses, you can pull up just the nos. So you can do a lot of things within this view to really kind of see what the data is and who you're dealing with. So we just added this Fred Janney. So let's go ahead and invite him. I'll show you how this works. And again, you can select all recipients if you need to. You can select multiple ones, but in this case, we're just going to go ahead and invite Fred Janney to this particular bid. So this email recipients button is really what drives everything as far as new invites, addenda, and question and answers. So this is where all of the bulk emails will be sent out from. So we're going to go ahead and invite Fred, and it will just confirm that, and he will be sent the email, and the date will be updated once that's sent out. So I'm just going to show you what that email actually looks like, because it's important. This is what everyone will see. Now, I do want to let you know that this is a template. So this can be changed to fit your company's needs however it works. So we obviously brand it with your own logo, and then we can set this up however you like. In fact, we even have a customer that changed the name of the buttons to yes and no rather than accept and decline. So we can do all kinds of things. But you can see up here that this is a lot of the stuff that was in our actual RFQ. We had the detail, we have the subject line, the contact person, the pre-bid meeting information, and then of course, most importantly, the due date and how to access the bid documents. We can also, again, put in some links in here if you want to link them directly to documentation on other things about your bid process. We can put any kind of links within the template. Whatever you want to do is fine. So it's a very customizable process, which is great. So once a person actually clicks on that, actually, let me go back. Once a person accepts or declines the invite to bid, they're going to be taken to just a quick web page that says you've accepted to bid, and you're going to be sent another email with further instructions. And obviously, if you declined, you'd get the declination screenshot there. But that just kind of walks you through the process. So you will receive another email telling you how to upload your bid, and that looks like this. Once you've accepted a bid, you get an email that again is a template, so we can change this to be whatever makes sense for your company. But it gives you the link of where you're going to upload the bid and some of the information for it.
Melissa, one of our customers didn't actually want to send the bid documents until somebody wanted or chose to accept or decline, right?
I was just going to say that. Great lead in. We have one customer that did not want to put the access to the bid documents on this particular email. They wanted to wait until they actually accepted or said that they were going to quote. And we actually sent the link in the second email after they accept. And that's perfectly fine. In fact, that same client is not right now using the upload to bid functionality because they're still doing all of their bids in person, but they hope to eventually do that. So we can add that back in at any point in time. But right now their links on this particular email after they accept are just the links to the bid documents. So that's a great point. So it really is very customizable. Now I'm logged in as an external user in this scenario. So I just wanted to show you that when they do click the package documentation, this is what they are seeing. So you can see within VPO, normally, if you're a VPO user, you have the menu on the left-hand side and different things that you can do. When you're an external user for bidders, this is all you're going to see. So you're only going to see the documents, and actually I only have read access in this mode, so because of the way that this was set up, so I can download the information and for myself, but I cannot update anything that is in here, and I can't see anything else, which is really important. Even if you remember, if I click on the packages themselves, they cannot see all of the different hierarchy that we have or anything like that. So that's really the crux of all of this, is the security behind it, to make sure that your documents are safe and it's a very easy process for the user.
And you don't have to move them to another location so that they're just downloadable. They're where you're managing the documents in the first place, you know, to be able to share them.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into the recipients tab and talk a little bit about the addenda and the Q&A. So as Laura mentioned, there's oftentimes, as I'm sure you all know, where you want to add certain things to the package after it's already been sent out, and you just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. So on the addenda tab, you can see we have a couple that are already set up, and you can create a new one at any time. And you put in the information such as the detail about what's changed or what's been updated. And you can also copy and paste a link in here to show exactly where within the package documentation that is. And again, it's a secure link. So only people who have access to that folder are going to be able to view it. So you can see here, we do have a couple that have already been set up. And so when you are ready to send those addenda, what you want to do is go to the recipients tab, much like we did with the invitation process. But you can see here, we've already sent out a few addenda. So maybe I want to just see who hasn't been sent addenda, but who has said that they want to quote. And I can see that Tom Peterson here has not been sent any addenda. So let's send the two addenda that we saw over there to him. And again, you can select multiple people, everyone if you want. And obviously you would probably do that at the beginning of the process. But once you select who you want, you click the email recipients button, you go to addenda, and you'll get a pop-up here that you can see lists the detail of both addenda that we have in the system. So you can send multiple at a time if you would like, and it's really nice because then, you know, they only get one email if you have a few different things that you're sending out at once.
Hey, Melissa.
Yes.
We have a question.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, has any thought been put into having a project-specific NDA accepted prior to giving access to project RFP documents?
That could be part of the onboarding process for sure.
Yeah, I would say that definitely it would be. And, you know, I know that we've had clients that have very specific documentation they send out prior to anyone even being registered in the system. And we can work with you on that, but that certainly could be something that's done. And again, because we have everything customizable, we could even, you know, track whether the person has signed their NDA, and that could be another thing that we check whenever we're checking for registered users. So that's a great question, but that could definitely be incorporated. Okay, so I just sent out another addenda, and if we look, let's see, you can see that indeed Tom Peterson was just sent. Those two addenda I sent today. It gives you the name and the date. So with Q&A, question and answers, we created this tab as a way of, we know that when you're involved in the RFQ and bidding process, you obviously get a lot of questions, a lot of repeat questions over and over again from people. And we wanted to make sure we had a place for you to track that information and send it out to everyone so that everyone, it's fair and balanced and everyone knows, you know, what's been asked and what the answers are. So this is managed by you, and you're able to control what information goes out to the actual, you know, recipients. So much like the addenda, it works the same way. You can see we have two that are here already, but you can create a new item at any time, and you can put in the question information as well as the answer, and you can add as many as you like within here. And again, also like the addenda, you can select multiple people, you can select just a few people. Again, we have our Tom Peterson that I know didn't get these, so I'm going to go ahead and select him. And again, I go up to the email recipients button, I go down to question and answers, and you can see my two Q&As that I have. I'm going to send them together so he'll get one email, and that way he gets that information. And I'll show you what those emails actually look like. So here's the addenda email itself. It provides the information about the addenda as well as the links that will take you right to that section. And the question and answers are set up very similarly. The email looks like this, where you'll get a list of however many questions you send out and the answers to them.
It's also to keep it anonymous, so you know the bidders don't know what other bidders are bidding. So
right.
That's kind of the purpose of the RFQ bid manager on the general tab is they get emailed anytime these emails get out, sent out, so they'll have them in their sent inbox or in their inbox. And then that way they can, send out distribute the question and answers anonymously.
Hey, Melissa, we have another question.
Sure.
If you're not sending the docs with the invite and only after they accept, where do we include a brief scope so that they know what they're deciding on? Was there a description box that could go on the invite?
So yes, you could use the detail section. That's a very long section. You can put whatever you want in it. I mean, this email could be as long as you want. That would be exactly where you'd want to put that, I would assume. I mean, you could always, I guess, put it in the bid package itself, but it probably makes more sense to include it on the email. So that RFQ detail field that we saw on the RFQ itself, it's a very long field. So you can put as much information as you need to in there. Good questions. Okay, so the last part of our RFQ process is managing the RFQ, obviously, to completion. So, this is obviously going to be important and is really kind of one of the great things about this is you're able to track the recipient information per RFQ throughout the whole process, see what was sent to them and when, whether or not they're agreeing to quote on the actual bid itself. So that's really important. Going back to the system itself. So, excuse me one second. So you can see here on the recipients tab, this is where all of the information is managed. And again, I talked a little bit about this, but just to kind of go through it, you do have when you send out the email, whether or not the person intended to quote, you have when addendas were sent, as well as when Q&As were sent and which ones they were. And the other thing to keep in mind is that we do have that primary contact that is copied on every email that goes out. Also, we've just recently added the ability to add other emails if you like say a group mailbox that you want to basically keep all of the emails together on. We can copy that email as well just to basically, CYA as far as someone saying, I didn't get that email. Well, yeah, you did, because we see it right here. We know who all we sent them to because we have a listing of all of that. So that's been pretty important for people. Also, the other thing that VPO does on the back end throughout this process is 3 days prior to the due date, it will send another email again, and I'll show you what that looks like. And this is also customizable. If you want it sent more than one time, if you want it sent a week before and 3 days before, the out of the box is 3 days before, you get a reminder email of when the RFQ is due, and you get your link again in case you've forgotten it or lost it of where you're going to actually upload your bid. And that's obviously pretty important. So to show you what the user sees when they click on that link, I'm going to take you over again into my external user that I'm logged into. And when they click that link, you can see we have a library that's actually the name of the RFQ itself. And then we have folders underneath for each company. Now, I am a part of Peterson Contracting, so even if I try to go up a level and see who else is bidding, I cannot. I only have access to upload to my actual company folder. And so this is where they will drag their files in, they will upload. And again, this is where the documentation we give you in the beginning, or again, you can link to your templated emails, is really comes in handy for people if they have any problems. But this is a super easy process to upload to. They can drag and drop, they can upload. Personally, I think it's much easier than Dropbox. So it works really well. But this is what the external user will see. And again, they don't have any other, they cannot see anything else besides that.
Hey, Melissa, we have another question.
Sure.
Is there a scoring card template we can incorporate to the RFQ platform?
I'm not sure I understand the question. A scoring template, is that?
Oh, you mean maybe to compare the bids, perhaps? I'm thinking that might be the question.
I will show you where, one of the things I wanted to show you anyway is when you're looking at your list of RFQs, you know, you can get to your link of uploaded package documents, but you can also get to your bid uploads link. And maybe this is perhaps where you could store this, but you'll see when I click on that link as an internal user, I actually can see all of the folders. So you can see Peterson Contracting here that I was in as an external user, but I can see every one of the bid folders for the company itself. So you could keep a scorecard at this level. That might be a good place to do so. But we don't have anything that necessarily is within the RFQ that you would do that.
Yeah, they gave us a little bit more detail. That the question was, can we compare bids and do some leveling analysis? And I think that's something that we're looking into. We don't have now, it's just the documents themselves. But in a future release, we can consider putting in the values that you would want to collect dollars at, and then be able to have that in one view. We've done iterations of that, just not on this particular module this way.
There's another question as well, Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
Can the RFQ platform be linked with existing database system?
Well, we have not at this time integrated with any specific databases, but you know, that's kind of what we do on my team, which is work with integration. So I'm sure it could be done, and we could definitely look into it on, you know, a case-by-case basis for sure. Again, right now, this is kind of our first iteration, but we definitely know that this is going to grow. And, you know, as far as integrating with other platforms.
And maybe if whomever asked that question has a specific platform in mind, perhaps sharing that with us, and we can get together with you afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So one last thing that happens in the management part of, you know, a bid, obviously, is the due date comes and goes, and we want to make it fair. So at the point of the due date and time, it will turn off the ability for any companies to upload any more documents or change any more documents at that time. So that's something that also runs on the back end. Obviously, as an internal user, you will still be able to go and navigate around within those folders, but your actual users will only have read access from that point on within their own company folder. So that was another important part of the whole process.
Melissa, we have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have integrated solution to follow the after award cycle until site delivery?
So we do not at this point in time, but again, like Laura said, that's something that is on our radar as a next step for this and expanding this. We have talked with specifically a couple of our clients about doing this and making it, you know, how do we then go from this point of you've won the bid, get you into VPO, and, you know, make that kind of a seamless process. So that would be our next steps in this development.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Laura.
It takes us to our next and last poll question. If you are in the position or know how much your company spends on managing bids and or RFQs within your organization, let us know how much time that takes. Or if it's not applicable to your company, that's fine too.
I think where we've seen a lot, well, there's different areas we've seen a lot of benefit with this new module. I think a big part of that is just the management, the sheer management of all the emails, and just knowing you can go to one place and see what's been sent when. And, you know, it's just all managed through the system. So I think that's really helped cut down on that time.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a big time savings associated with that too, depending on how many hours and cost per employee that would, you know, save potentially.
Right.
So 5 to 20 hours per week is the greatest or most common number of hours. So that's good to know too. All right.
So at this point, we can start asking questions. More questions.
Well, already have started. They're not shy, which is good.
So just a comment, it says that I noticed you have a design platform, exclamation point.
We do. We can manage the entire life cycle of the project from inception of the project. We have some clients that will create project sites very early on once their project has been approved in their organization and managed all the design side or platform of the project as far as the RFIs, or I'm sorry, the design documents and request process for design, and introducing it to the architect, and then moving on to the construction phase once that's available, and introducing it to contractors and vendors and suppliers.
Does anyone else in the audience have any additional questions? I don't see anything on our end here, ladies. Oh, wait, I got a chat. Let's see what it says here. These are great enhancements on the bid process. We're excited to see how well it has come together. Thank you, Andrew.
You're welcome, Andrew. As you know, you were one of the biggest proponents of this, so looking forward to rolling it out.
Okay, one last call for questions, comments. Well, if we have no others, we did cover a lot here today. I want to thank Melissa and Laura for educating us on the possibilities of bidding in RFQs. And if you would like to learn more, please feel free to contact me. And again, this recording of the webinar will be on the website. So for registered users, you will receive a link. So with that, I would like to thank everyone again for their time today, and have a great rest of your day.